Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 5 Minutes with Gray Hair Dave. This is episode number 53. It is a Wednesday for me. I hope it's a Wednesday for you. If it's not a Wednesday for you, that's absolutely great. Anyways, my name's Dave. I've got gray hair, I've got a gray beard. Hey, I wear glasses. I've got a green shirt like the guy in the artwork, even though I think he's better looking than me, and it looks like he's got more hair than me, too. Anyways, what are we going to talk about today? I don't know. What do you want to talk about today? You all don't ever leave me messages, and that's okay. I understand you're shy. You're just shy. You don't want to talk to Dave. That's okay. I have many people who don't talk to Dave that I know. But so what's going on? We've been talking about the years in the 70s, and I was looking up 1972 again. I don't know why I keep looking back into the years of the early 70s, but there was life before high school. Don't get me wrong, there really was. It's just that once high school hit, it seemed like life uh, really began to take shape for me. And I believe for most baby boomers. Yeah, there were those of us who were very engaged in middle school. And, let's admit it, when you're in elementary school, you just want to get through the day, go home and play. But in junior high school, you start to mature a little bit. But when you get to high school, you start becoming an adult. And again, like I said, the world starts to change. It becomes more clear why you're here. And not just why you're here, but why you should be here and what maybe you should be doing. You begin to think more as an adult. I know I touched on that a couple of times this week, but it's important because your thought processes have matured. Um, you're not always thinking about silly little things. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that elementary and junior high school kids think about just silly things, but now it's more important things like relationships. And it's relationships with girls or guys, depending upon what you are, or it's relationships with your parents. I know that I started talking more and more with my parents on a more adult level when I was in high school. And the conversations seemed to be more adult in return from my parents. Um, it wasn't just, well, how was school today, Dave? What did you learn? What did you do? What'd you do after school? It was, what did you learn today? How were you taught today? What are your teachers like? I mean, your parents knew what your teachers were like because they have parent teacher conferences in elementary and in junior high school. But in the beginning of the year, they you haven't really been introduced to them. My teachers knew one of both my parents. One of them did, Mr. Varon, because he was one of well, actually both my brothers' teacher, but he was my brother's class advisor, which is something you didn't have in junior high or elementary school. Was a class advisor. He was kind of like in charge of the activities, or that, not shouldn't just say he, but they were in charge of the activities and what happened and meetings of that class, that group of people in that graduating year. And mine was the class of 1975. And but he's already knowing my parents. But other than that, what are your teachers like? Well, how are they teaching you? My parents wanted to know what was the difference between how I was taught in junior high school compared to high school. The freedoms that you were given to think and to express yourself at least in my experience, and I'm hoping in all of your experiences too, was that they were more engaged in what you were learning and who you were becoming. Granted, you were a young adult now. You know, you're either you're turning into a woman or you're turning into a guy, you know, a man, and they were here to guide you because that's what your parents are hoping to do is help guide you into that next natural evolution of life, right? You know, adulthood. And high school is the beginning of that. And freshman year is integral to that, or integral. Integral. You'll know which one it is. You'll know what's right. But, anyways, so, I mean, even the conversations with your friends are different. I mean, think about it. You're not just talking about what games you're going to play when you get out of school. You're talking about what happened at school, what you learned at school. You're talking about it with your friends now. You may be doing homework with your friends now instead of going home and doing it, and hopefully your parents are checking it, or you know, or your siblings are there to help you through it. Um, and it might, you know, my brothers were there if I needed them, and they were just a phone call away. Or I think, you know, Tim was in and out of town a lot, so was Paul. But you know, it was it. How do I put this without sounding stupid? But it education became more interesting, and you were taught differently, I believe, because they weren't treating you as kids; they were treating you as young adults, and young adults were respected and were expected to respect back. Now, I don't know how it is in today's schools. You hear stories. I see things on television, you know, on the news, and I I can only imagine what it's like to be a kid in school today. But I mean, we went through it back in our age as baby boomers. We went through, you know, there were riots, there were gangs back then too. Um, Goodness, I mean, there were segregation was still part of an issue in the South. Um, I was looking it up as because I've been doing this for the past week or so about what was happening around this time of our life in the world, and today I decided to look up what was happening in Michigan or around during that time, and you know it was there's issues about busing in here. Controversy concerning the Detroit Police Department's stress unit and a shootout between stress officers and an off duty Wayne County Sheriff's deputies result in the death of the deputy. Um, it's it's really it was a little bit of a toxic time in the world. Still, I mean, there was in the '68 there was the riots in the Detroit area that were and I believe maybe even '67. Tensions were tough, and you had to get through it. But you live through it. You hope you live through it, you know, and you get on with it. Let's see what was happening around. Let's see. Let's just try this for a change. Who died that year? Around this time, Pie Trainer was a baseball player. Len Ford was a football player. Gil Hodges was a baseball player. He died on April 2nd. I'm trying to think of who people might. Brian Dunleavy, he was an actor. He was gosh, he was born in 1901. Oh my gosh. J. Edgar Hoover, the first director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Wow, interesting, interesting. But let me get off of that. Oh, we yeah, we don't need to be talking about that kind of stuff today. Let's get away from death, folks. My bad. I apologize. Hey, I mean, here's something that this time of year and when I was younger brought to mind. Summer events in your town. We had the Blue Water Festival in Port Huron every year, which included a boat sailing race or sailboat race between Port Huron and Mackinac Island. And it turned into a really, really, really big thing. It was even on Good Morning America quite a few years. It brought in a lot of people and a lot of fancy boats, but there was also a carnival and parades. And it was a time for people to come together and go downtown because downtown wasn't bad. It wasn't like going to downtown Detroit where people might be scared of it. In Port Huron, it wasn't that way. How was it in your town? What festivals did you have? You know, what kind of activities did your town or your county put on or make available to you? The state fair. Did you all go to the state fair? I went to the state fair once or twice, but I think I was older. I think I might have been married at the time because the state fair was in Detroit, and that was quite the trek just to go to a just to go to a fairgrounds. Might have, and I don't remember, but at my first recollection was when I was married to number one. But what happened in your towns and in your neighborhoods and in your states during those younger years? And did you go to them? Did you enjoy them? Let me know. Go to my website, 5 minutes with gray hair Dave. That's the number 5 minutes with gray hair Dave. Go to that little icon down at the bottom, looks like a microphone. Tap on that. Leave me a voicemail. Leave me a message, and I'll respond to you. Or go to the contact me page and leave me a note. I'll reply. Um, Notice how I kind of segued right into that to that website, huh? So hey, don't forget to tell your friends about me, folks. 5 minutes with gray hair Dave. Yeah, it's never 5 minutes, but it's usually between 10 and 12, 13 minutes long. Have a great day, folks, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Don't forget, if you know people who don't know how to listen to a podcast, what it is, or where to find them, do us all a favor and show them. So have a great day, folks. And from Gray Hair Dave, bye bye.